Hello, I'm Brenda Hines, and this is FCN's Frontline Report, brought to you by Ford Education and Training. Last month, Ford Division closed the books on the new 1994 model year by setting a new sales leadership record. The division outsold its closest competitor, Chevrolet, by almost 720,000 units. That's the largest victory margin by any division in history. In the course of setting that record, Ford not only had the #1 selling truck and car in America, the F-Series and Taurus, but overall Ford vehicles led in 10 of the 15 product segments the division competes in. On the truck side, F-Series, Bronco, Econoline Van, Econoline Club Wagon, Ranger, and Explorer were all #1 in their respective segments. On the car side, Taurus, Thunderbird, Mustang, and Escort all led their segments. Even before those numbers were added up, however, Ford was busy launching the car it hopes will capture leadership in the middle of the market, the Ford Contour. It was the biggest launch in Ford history, and nowhere was it more elaborate than in California. The Southern California Ford Dealers Association and Ford Division got together to stage a typical Hollywood spectacular in Los Angeles. The event was held at the Air Museum, where more than 600 celebrities, dealers, and Ford personnel were on hand to greet the arrival of the new Contour, which was flown in by helicopter. The evening was complete with lasers, spotlights, limousines, entertainers, and of course news crews from the print media, radio, and television. More than 60 Contours were on display at the ceremonies. In addition to the Contour, Ford is also making news on the truck side of the business. The division closed the 1994 model year by setting a new truck sales record. Ford's 1,821,643 truck sales represented the most trucks ever sold by any division in history. Now they are moving into the 1995 model year by preparing to launch an all-new version of one of the hottest trucks in the industry, the Ford Explorer. Here's FCN's John Hewitt with that story.
All of a sudden, you started going from what were a couple 100,000 sales annually to 400,000 to 500,000. Right now, Sport Utilities, led by the Explorer and closely followed by the Jeep Grand Cherokee and Cherokee, are tracking at more than 1.2 million units a year.
So just what explains this boom in sport utility vehicle sales and the popularity of the Ford Explorer?
The all-wheel drive, go anywhere, get through mud, snow, sleet, bad weather is very attractive to a lot of people.
And the 1995 Ford Explorer is traveling a new frontier. The sport utility vehicle that outsold its nearest competitor by nearly 100,000 units last year has been redesigned and improved for '95.
Ford is now leading the segment by adding the passenger side airbag.
You've got standard ABS brakes, which our old Explorer did not have. You have a whole new suspension system, much softer, much more car-like, but still kind of has a trucky feel at the same time.
By utilizing leading-edge technologies, the new Explorer is virtually maintenance-free for 100,000 miles, with the exception of changing fluids and filters. A new state-of-the-art four-wheel drive system gives drivers what Ford calls a set-to-forget feature. The computer automatically triggers the system to engage all four wheels when needed.
You put it in drive, the new Explorer system, and the all-wheel drive system decides for you whether it should be an all-wheel drive or two-wheel drive.
Ford believes these safety, performance, and car-like comfort features will make the Explorer even more attractive to customers. For FCN News, I'm John Hewitt reporting.
One of the more car-like Explorer features that John is referring to is the exceptional ride and handling characteristics of the new vehicle. FCN's Robb Mahr takes a behind-the-scenes look at how Explorer performance has been re-engineered and some of the results.
I'm most proud of the ride and handling characteristics. It's always been a feature that I thought could stand improvement, even though we get very good ratings from our customers on our ride.
The Explorer team benchmarked more than competing SUVs for ride and handling to try to get the best car-like ride while providing terrific on- and off-road handling.
So we've gone to what's called a short long arm suspension in the front of the vehicle, which is a more car-like suspension, if you will. We've gone to rack and pinion steering, which is a very sport performance-oriented steering system.
New transfer case is best in the industry. The new front suspension gives it the best ride and handling.
The limited model has what team members feel is probably the best ride and handling system in the sport utility segment, regardless of price. It's called Adaptive Ride Control, a totally automatic system.
It consists of a air shock system at all 4 wheel locations. It will, during hard driving maneuvers such as lane change maneuvers or avoidance maneuvers, this system actually senses the maneuver and stiffens the shock absorber system so that the vehicle handles in a much better manner.
The system lowers the Lincoln Continental and Mark 8 by 8 inches at high speeds. It also does the same for the Explorer, but raises the vehicle under off-road conditions. I'm Robb Mahr, FCN News.
Ford sold almost 300,000 Explorers during the 1994 model year. In 1995, the company is increasing Explorer production capacity by 50%, and that's expected to put Explorer sales near 450,000 units annually. Production of the 1995 Explorer begins later this month at the Louisville Assembly Plant. The second plant, St. Louis, will begin production in January. Meanwhile, Ford is moving ahead with tests on the next generation of another successful product, the Windstar Minivan. As FCN's Lauren Sides reports, Ford engineers have recently completed an extended ride and drive test of 1995 through 1997 Windstars in the American Southwest.
It was a 9-day trip through some of America's most beautiful countryside, but the drive across 4 states and 9 cities also provided a tough test for the Ford Windstar Minivan prototypes.
And we're heading out for Flagstaff today. It's a 370.
The Caravan progressed through dramatic changes in climate, elevation, and terrain.
I found this to be very beneficial for me. One, it brings me closer to the product and understanding the engineering evaluations on this vehicle.
The drivers represented the various development and testing activities associated with the 1995, 96, and 97 Windstars.
It's a cross-functional team interaction to understand where we're at with the vehicles and to try to provide some additional feedback to future models.
The Caravan crossed 2,700 miles, averaging 300 miles a day. That was plenty of time to see how the new engines and components fared under extreme conditions.
Start your engine. Turn your air conditioner on max AC, max blower speeds front and rear.
From the desert heat, across gravel roads, and through the fog-draped redwood coast, the Windstar team tested 42 technical evaluators. Mother Nature provided her own tests, too, like the 40-mile-per-hour California coastal winds.
The Windstar is handling exceptionally well. It appears insensitive to crosswind. We had not known we were in such winds until we had stepped out of the vehicle.
This is Lauren Sides reporting for FCN News.
While Lauren Sides was out west testing Windstars, FCN's Heidi Mitchell was in Dearborn, Michigan, looking at some other new technology. This time, the subject is cellular phones. And as Heidi reports, while many automakers are offering car phones as aftermarket options, Ford is beginning to build them into some of their cars right at the plant.
Hello? These creature comforts have evolved from the former bulky cellular phones to these sleek ones that can fit neatly in the console.
It looks as though it belongs. The remote dialer on the dashboard is the same color plastic as the plastic that surrounds it. So it's just a much more appealing look.
There are 2 phones being offered, the remote dialer or the one that is
name, please.
Voice activated. The control buttons for the hands-free operation are built into the dashboard to the right of the steering wheel. Now, on certain cars, the user's voice is picked up by a mic built into the area near the rear view mirror. And for the voice-activated phone on the Mark 8, the small mic is in the liner just to the left of the front windshield. Next to that is a very small button used to begin and end the phone calls. Besides the more aesthetic look, factory-installed phones have better quality sound. All the features are intended to ensure more safety for the driver. Engineers want to limit the number of times the driver's hands leave the wheel and the eyes leave the road. I'm Heidi Mitchell for FCN News.
The factory-installed cellular phones are available on the Ford Taurus and Thunderbird, as well as the Lincoln luxury cars, and they will be available on the new 1995 Explorer. In our final story today, Frontline goes to Europe and the Paris Auto Show for a look at some of the latest automobile trends across the Atlantic. Here's FCN's Valerie Betancourt with that story.
The world's auto industry is here at the Paris Auto Show. It's the largest of the European auto shows, and small cars are the focus of attention.
Almost on every stand you go to, there is a small city package car that is going to be the way of the future. I think we're going to see a tremendous change in the type of cars that families have to drive in more and more congested streets.
Ford announced a new entry in the important small car market, which dominates Europe. It's based on the car concept car.
And that's really a car that's positioned below the Fiesta to take advantage of really what's a growing demand for cars that are more compact, more environmentally friendly, that are potentially more compatible with a more congested traffic environment, and to appeal to the growing second car market that we're seeing in the more affluent parts of Europe.
To compete in the growing minivan market in Europe, Ford showed off its new Galaxy concept vehicle, a forerunner of an all-new European multi-purpose vehicle, a joint venture with Volkswagen.
A number of people have different guesses about how big that segment's going to be for multi-purpose vehicles. I think it's going to be quite big. How big, really don't know yet, but I think quite substantial, and I think there's certainly room for another entry from Ford.
The market in France is dominated by the French manufacturers who have 60% of the market, but Ford is right behind them as the largest importer in France.
And that's the latest from Frontline around the world. A little closer to home, the latest update on the calendar year sales races shows the Ford Taurus leading the Honda Accord by 2,194 sales for top-selling car honors. On the truck side, the F-Series is leading the Chevrolet CK by 40,595 sales for the calendar year in the contest for the top-selling vehicle crown. Both races are still too close to call. And that's it for this month's edition of Frontline. FCN's Frontline Report is a joint effort of the Ford Communications Network and Ford Education and Training. I'm Brenda Hines. Thanks for joining us.